Hi, this is LysElla.com. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Our topic for this workshop is charging higher fees. So there are three things that I want you to be able to take away from this workshop on charging higher fees. I want you to be able to use this information right away. So the first thing is identify whether you are currently charging for your fees, for your services, I should say, based on value, costs, or time. So that'll be the first thing we'll cover. And then the second thing we'll cover will be moving past this feeling, if you are someone who has this, of, I can't possibly charge that. That's way too much. And then third, we'll move into choosing a new price point and practicing charging that so that you start to get comfortable with it. So again, let me just review those. There will be three things that we'll be covering today. First being identifying whether you currently set your prices based on value, costs, or time. Second, moving past the feeling of feeling like you can't charge for that, self-doubt around charging a higher fee. And then finally, choosing a new price point and practicing charging for that. Okay, so first topic, identifying whether you currently set your prices based on value, costs, or time. Costs and time are the most typical ways that people usually go about setting their prices. So let me define these for you so that you can identify what you're currently doing. Charging based on time is simply saying, this is my hourly rate. So for example, if you are a hairdresser, you may say, my hourly rate is $55 or is $102. Or you may do it by service, but it's an exchange of a particular service for a fee or specifically a time for a fee. Many consultants work on an hourly basis and there is an amount that they charge for that. So that would be an example of charging based on time. There are reasons you might want to do that, but some of the cons for charging based on time are that you'll find that your customers are trying to diminish the amount of time that they have to spend with you to get the intended result. And therefore, there's always this uncomfortable back and forth. That's one of the big downfalls on charging for time. Now, the second one that people often will use, and this happens more often with products than with services, but the second one is charging based on costs. So let's say that you make computers. So taking the cost of whatever it costs, labor and materials, to make that computer, and then marking it up by a certain percentage. That would be pricing based on costs. You can see that the good part of that is that you know how much you spend, you can increase the price, and then you can basically set your profit margin and decide how much of that you want to get. But that's assuming that the price tag that you end up with is a price that people are willing to pay. And then third, and that's what I advocate for most people in most situations, is charging based on value. And so the way that works is taking and figuring out for your clients, what is the value that they get from what it is that you're providing, your service or your product. And it's an intangible thing. So this is why people often don't do the work to start charging based on value, is because it's intangible. It makes it a lot harder to choose a price. So if you haven't done this already, I'd advocate going to your clients and asking them about what it is about your service or product that they love. What do they like about it? What do they love about it? What does it do for them? So let's take it back to the example of a hairstylist. Now, a hairstylist may, and usually they'll cite the prices as such, as it's a price per treatment or per service. So a certain price for a haircut and blow dry, certain price for coloring, certain price for a certain kind of coloring, etc. So what they're doing there is partially sometimes an exchange of time for money, but those who are charging at the upper end, and if you are in this kind of a situation or an analogous situation, you'll want to pay close attention to this. What you're really charging for at a certain level is the entire experience. And that's what we mean when we say value. It's the entire experience. So for example, with that hairstylist, part of the experience is the ambiance of the salon where you show up. How does it make you feel when you walk in the door? Do they give your head a massage while washing your hair? That has more value to it than just the actual amount of shampoo that they use and the cost of that and the cost of the person's time. Depending on how you are treated, you get more or less value. Even if you ended up with the exact same haircut and say the exact same coloring procedure with the exact same results, the way you are treated during that experience really affects your, as the consumer, your perception of value. So for your clients, for whatever your service or product is, go ask your clients what it is that they value. What do they get out of either interacting or using your service or interacting with or using your product? And on the product side, you'll see companies like Apple. They figured out value. They're not simply charging you to use a device that makes phone calls, that allows you to use an app that connects you to other people. They figured out that their clients wanted all of that ability, plus they wanted it to be easy to use, and they liked design aesthetics. Their clients found value in having a utilitarian device, which is what our mobile phones or tablets or whatever form they're in now, that's what they are. They're utilitarian. They let us do things. But their clients placed value in what that object looked like. And therefore, they're able to charge a higher price because they're delivering that value. So think about your service or your product and talk to your customers or to your potential customers and understand what it is about the experience, the larger experience that they value. And then finally, let me give you one more example of this. If there is any way to talk to your clients and to ask them what something is worth to them, that is one way to establish what the value is. So let's take a financial planner, for example. Now, financial planner A and financial planner B may have the exact same skills. They may be able to get you the exact same results within your retirement portfolio. But there are some clients who are buying based on price. And those clients may be looking for the cheapest financial advisor they can find who has, a certain level of quality. And usually people figure out quality through things like asking their friends, through things like ratings, whether that be Yelp or some other rating system. So people will be looking for a base level of service and then looking for the lowest price that they can pay. So again, that's if somebody is buying based on cost alone. Now, most of us, for most things that we buy that are not commodities, are willing to pay more for certain kinds of value. And in this case of a financial planner, pieces of that value may be that she gets back to me quickly when I call her. It may be that my clients really value the fact that even if I've set a 1 hour appointment with my financial planner, that I'll go for 2 hours, that I've set time in my schedule and I'll go for 2 hours if they need it. No problem, no extra charge. That may be something that her clients value. Her clients may value the fact that she shows up at clients' dinner parties. And each market, each sub-market is slightly different as to what they value. And that's why I say go ask your clients or go ask the people who you believe are going to be your clients and ask them what's of value to them. And if you don't want to use the word value, or if that's getting deer in the headlights look from your potential clients, ask them more general questions like, what do you like when you're interacting with a financial planner? Or have you interacted with a financial planner in the past? What did you like about him or her? What did you not like about him or her and service and associated services? Those kinds of what did you like, what did you not like, what do you wish you had, what happened that made you think, oh, I'll never work with this person again? Those questions are all getting at value. Okay, so hopefully by this point you have identified for your particular service or product whether you're currently basing your pricing and your fees on time, costs, or on value. And if you haven't gotten the gist of where I'm going already, you'll see as we move into the next section that my vote is for most people that you charge based on the value, because you're going to be able to charge more. And as you get better and better and better at whatever it is that you do or whatever your product is, you'll continue to be able to charge more. Okay, so that's that, in determining how you're currently doing your pricing or your fee structure and how you may want to change it in the future. So the second point that we wanted to cover today was moving past any reticence you may have about charging a higher fee. And I hear this often. I hear this from people very, very often, where they'll say, I know that I should charge more. I know that I'm worth more. I watch so-and-so down the street who does a similar thing or similar service or similar product. They charge more, but for whatever reason, I know I should, but it feels weird to me. Do I deserve to charge more? Oh, will my clients leave me? And there's a clue. Yes, some will, but that's okay, because you want the clients who stay when you raise your fees. Yeah, am I really worth it? That one comes up again and again and again. And what I'll say to that is this is a mind game. You have to learn to talk to that little voice in your mind and say, well, how will I know if I'm worth more unless I try? How will I know? And that's one, and that still may be too scary for you if you're in that place. If you are in a place of being really scared about raising fees and thinking you're going to be shot down, you may also want to think about the fact that people saying no to you or to something that you're offering means nothing about you. It simply means that for that person, they're not willing to pay that price for the value that they see. And if you get a no from someone who's either a new client, a new potential client, or a current client, if you're raising your fees, that's a wonderful, wonderful learning opportunity. Because what you can ask that person at that time is, oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that you know that I'm not for you. My services are not for you. or my product's not for you. Hey, I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise, but could I ask you a couple questions because it's just really interesting to me? Tell me what, helped you come to that decision. And just see what they have to say. So if this is a product, if this is the iPhone versus an Android phone, they may say, well, I just don't see that this phone provides any more features that really matter to me than this one, and this one's $100 less, so I'm just going to the cheaper one. Great. Then for that person that there is some cost consideration, and it would also give you a clue to follow up to be able to say, oh, interesting. Now I totally get it. So, when other people pay for this iPhone over here, what is it do you think that it does that they are willing to pay for? And you can take it out of being about them and ask them, because they may then switch into commenting about, oh yeah, well, my sister always buys iPhone and she loves it because it takes square pictures that she can press it on the screen and it'll switch to square frame, and then she can post that easily to Instagram. That may be worth it to her sister to pay an extra $100, but to your customer in front of you, it's not. And at this point, you're not trying to convince them otherwise. All you're doing is basically some really cheap market research. So let's take a service, for example. Let's take the financial planner. And again, this is when you've said to somebody, they've said, no, it's not for me. And you say, great. Oh, I'm glad you've made that decision. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. I don't like to do that. But while I've got you here, can you just tell me, like when you talk with your friends, what is it that they base their decisions upon regarding financial planners? Have you ever had that kind of conversation with your friends? And see what they say, because again, you're just being curious, and this is where you can get some really good market feedback from your potential market. And it may come out that that person who just said no is very cost conscious and really just worries about the cost. They may tell you about other friends who pay a lot more for a financial planner, and and they say to you, oh, but that person, has more income than I do. I think that's why he does that, is because it's worth it to him. So you can start to understand from your client or your potential client's point of view, what is it that that person and potentially the people around that person are willing to pay for, and what is it that they're not willing to pay for? Okay, and then let's get back to the mental part again of I'm not worth it, or how do I know that I'm good enough to raise my prices now? Well, you really just have to try. And again, if it's really scary for you, you can start with a game. You can start with all of your clients on Monday, you're going to tell about the price increase. And all of your clients on Tuesday, you're not, and back and forth. Or you can say, for 1 week, I am going to tell clients that my fees have increased. Or for 1 day, or for 1 hour. If it's really super scary to you, take an hour, or set a goal like, I'm going to tell 1 client about this price increase, and I'm going to tell 1 client by the end of today. Do it with 1, see what happens. It is not nearly as scary once you've done it once. And then you get to practice it again, and the next time, and the next time. But saying it out loud to someone, whether a current client or to a new client, really is a big hurdle for some people to get over. But once you get over it, everything else after that becomes much, much easier. Okay, and so now we're going to move into part 3. And that is choosing a new price point and practicing it. So there's no right or wrong here as to what your new price point is. What you could do is you can go around and you can look at your competitors, or you can look at people in a similar space, and you can see what they're charging. If you're already at the top there, then look to whatever you consider to be the next level up. So taking the hairstylist example again, let's say you're a hairstylist for Fantastic Sam's. And I would believe that there you're more like an employee, like Fantastic Sam's, the chain, sets the prices and you're probably just paid. So that's actually probably not the best example. But let's say that you're cutting hair and you're currently cutting hair for $20 for a shampoo and cut and blow dry. If you look around and the people that you consider to be your competitors are all charging right around there, then if you are truly interested in raising your fees, you're going to have to go look at the next level up. Go look at the hairstylists, both whether that's in person, online, checking it out, however you can. Go look at the next tier up. Look at those who charge between $50 and $75 for the same service. What's different about them? Go to their salons. Maybe book an appointment with one of them. Maybe one of them is your friend and ask them to show you what the difference is. Maybe it's skill. Sometimes it's skill, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you've got just as much skill as someone who's being paid more. You just haven't decided to ask for more yet. Sometimes it's the ambiance. Sometimes it's the actual physical location. Sometimes it's convenience. That this one particular, the kind of next level up that's charging between $50 and $75 for a shampoo and a haircut, maybe they're right underneath an office building where these people work. That could be something that people are willing to pay for. So it just really depends. But you'll have to grab a new price point. So again, you can go look at the next level up from you, whoever you consider the next level up to be, or the next level of product up to be, and go look at what kind of middle of the road prices are there. And then make sure that you've got whatever else it is that people expect for that price level. So I'll give an example. I sometimes take people with a net worth of 5 million to 10 million on very exclusive, discrete retreats for them to focus on business problems, personal problems, and not even problems, business or personal goals, and moving forward on them. So when I take those people and charge a premium price, there are also other expectations that go around the entire experience. So I know what those expectations are, and I serve to that level. I serve those expectations. Now, somebody who, let's say I'm taking on a retreat that is not nearly as glamorous, maybe it has a lot more people in it, it's not as discreet, not as private, well, that clientele values a different thing. They may value the cost. They may be more cost conscious than those with a net worth of 5 million or more, right? So your market may also change as you raise your fees. And then the only thing you have to do there is actually talk with people in the new market. If you're moving demographics or you're changing within psychographics or demographics, you'll need to talk with people and understand what it is that they're willing to pay for. And when you, back to the hair stylist example, you'll have to understand, is there a desire always for a glass of wine with your haircut? Maybe there is. That may be part of the expectations. But those are the things that you can figure out by both talking to your client as well as by visiting with or talking to people who perform at the next level up from wherever it is that you're at. Okay, so then go practice. Practice, practice, practice. Just there's no substitute for doing it. As we just covered, you can do it daily, you can do it weekly, you can just do one person if you need to. But those are my tips for the day in this workshop. Again, I'll summarize them. We've got identify whether you are currently pricing based on cost, time, or value. And I advocate the third one, value. Then attempting to move past that feeling of, I'm not worth this price. You'll want to talk to that head in your voice if that head exists, and you'll want to be able to park it when it's saying that. And one way to do that is just to say, hi, I hear you, voice of doubt. I'll talk to you this evening. Right now, I've committed to Lys or to somebody else. Then I'm going to have one conversation by the end of the day with a client, telling them that I have raised my fees. And then finally, practice doing it. So like I just suggested, choose one person and start there. As you get more confident, choose a few more or choose all of them. Whatever pace you need to go is fine, but you'll want to start practicing it. If it makes you feel more comfortable, you can even do something like go to a networking event that's outside of your hometown or home city, where most likely you may not see these people again. Go practice it with some, who you would call complete strangers. When you do that, it feels a little safer than acting within your current client base or with people who are directly within your kind of social sphere of influence. So you can take it an hour away from your home if that's not normal for you, and go practice out there in another city or another town. It feels less embarrassing to you. It feels more like you can just go out there and learn. That would be another technique for how to start practicing it if you're really feeling apprehensive about that. Well, so I hope this has been helpful to you. I do want to tell you I do have a course on this material, and you can see that below. You can click on that button and it will take you to an overview of that online course. And let me give you this last piece of practice. So this is me telling you about value. If you're curious and you want to go read about that course, you'll click through and you'll see a page where I explain what the course contains. And I'd ask you this, and this is what you're going to want to ask your clients also. What is the value for you? So if you were to purchase this course, which is $475, I believe, if you were to purchase that course, which has videos that you can step through and learn as you go, and then also has a once a month call, a group call with me, and then also has an online community of people who are all working on this particular topic. If those things produce a certain result for you, then I would ask you what the value is. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, like I would want to do that, I want access to that, and I know it costs me $475, what is the value that I place on that? Is it that you could earn much more than 75 or much more than the cost, much more than $475 by doing the course? If so, then all of a sudden the value makes sense in your head. But that's something you have to ask your client. And then I'm asking you right now, what kind of value do you need to be able to get from the course in order for it to be worth the price? That's essentially the question for anything that is value-based, is what will I get from this? What value will I get from it? Sometimes it's monetary, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's something else, but identify what that is. And if having that thing, that value, whether it's making more money or being more comfortable socially, or I mean, in this case, we're really talking about fees. So your value proposition probably is earning more money. In this case, it becomes pretty cut and dry. If you think you can earn more than $475 by applying these lessons to your own practice and raising your fees, then it seems worth it, right? Then you know that, oh, that's worth it for me to buy. If not, if you don't think you're going to do the work or ever use it, then it doesn't make sense to you, right? It makes no sense to spend anything if you know you wouldn't do the work. So that's how value works. That's how pricing works. That's how charging a higher fee for your work plays out. And I hope you got value from this workshop. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you later.